Ah, yes, hockey season is here and alive. One of my favorite times of year where I break out my Giroux jersey, sit on my futon, and scream my guts out at my favorite team. I've been a diehard hockey fan since 2010, and of course, I'm going to be all over this year's NHL release. Now, it's time for both you and I to grab our skates, get our mouth guard ready, and hit or be hit, as NHL 22 is now available. How does this new and exciting NHL game fare to the prior in NHL 21, though? Honestly, pretty stinking well. The first major difference is we are now in the next-gen world compared to last year's release. Let me tell you, this game on PS5 is a totally different experience. This game flies down the ice and you feel the game on a deeper level. As you skate down the rink, you feel the pulsing of the controller. If you attempt to pass, but there's no lane, you'll feel tension on the triggers. But when that lane opens up and you got a clear shot, it moves like a breeze. I've mentioned in several reviews that the PS5 controller really helps the game's feel, but it's nothing like this. It's genuinely incredible and adds a deeper level to game and gameplay as a whole. Overall gameplay is silky smooth like a good flow out on the ice, the best it's ever felt. There has been a steady increase in improvement since NHL 15. We don't talk about that dark time though. Even looking back on last year's edition, there was still a noticeable blocky feel to moving up the ice and making plays. NHL 22 is super slick and feels effortless as you pull out the deke and hit the top shelf wrister or get the poke check in the last second to stop a shot. One of the newest features this year is the XFactor for some of the NHL superstars. This is one of my favorite features for NHL 22. This allows highlighting players around the league. Sure, you got Ovi, Sid, McDavid, and others, but highlighting guys like Jamie Benn, Dougie Hamilton, and Selke-winning Flyers center Sean Couturier, yeah, that's right, I'm a Flyers fan. Seeing those players get highlighted for their skill was really great to have and shines a light on some players that maybe don't get as much national headline attention as others. Visually, NHL 22 continues to keep the bar moving forward as well. I think the biggest thing that caught my eye was the new augmented reality that was in the game. In-game broadcast graphics are being broadcasted on surfaces like the glass along the boards or even the ice. Not gonna lie, but this was cool as all hell. This adds so much to the gameplay. I've been a huge stats nerd my whole life, and seeing that these details are broken down on the ice and in such a cool fashion, whether it be a penalty is written out on the boards in the penalty box behind a player, or face-off stats are written off in the face-off circle, is insane to me, and it just adds that little bit of detail that's just so cool. If that isn't your cup of tea though, NHL 22 is such a great game visually to take in. Just in the Be a Pro mode, the cutscenes involving your player are really well crafted and made perfectly. There are a few graphical hiccups here and there, but nothing too horrific and nothing too out of the ordinary for an NHL game. I did have one point though where the game did freeze and crash on me in a weird transition moment, but other than that, nothing too major when it comes to issues. The worlds of EA, SHL, and Shell continue to grow and get more exciting. Shell has now moved to this great HUD, which makes it so much more easier to get through and function and get you out on the ice. And XFactor has also brought that as well as the Be a Pro mode. You're able to get and build your own skills and make your XFactor more and more known throughout the league. NHL 3s is also just such a blast. It's essentially a level of chaos and insanity that is just so much fun. Watching Tommy Hawk from the Chicago Blackhawks come out and try and score on the Fridge Raiders is probably one of the most funniest things I've seen in a game in a long time. There's a comical sense to it. It's essentially pickup games, but they're so much fun to get into. They're so much fun. They're just chaotic, and there are really no rules, and that's what makes it the most fun at the end of the day. It just being out there against some of those famous players and mascots just really adds a different level to it and adds that little bit of charismatic attitude that you would expect from the game. Overall, NHL 22 is a huge leap forward for the franchise. Having it on our first ever next-gen console with the PS5 was pretty great for us, and the haptic feedback really adds a lot to the game as well. EA Vancouver has knocked it out of the rink with this game. They've put it up on the board and they've made a big step forward. It's honestly a wonderful game. Highly recommend, highly get your hands out on it. NHL 22, worth your time. So much fun.
Gains the zone through the middle. With the blast! Scores! The go-ahead goal! This game has been tight. Now somebody's got a leg up.